right, good morning everybody. Today we are leaving at nighttime. So this is, we're doing this video, two videos, 2 days, back to back. If you didn't see the last video, I'll link it at the end of this one, but basically it came out yesterday and I put half of the new traps in and I pulled like 3/4 of the traps. Now today I got my son on board with me, and we're gonna take all the traps that we have inside of Biscayne Bay and we're gonna pull them, we're gonna move them to the ocean side. Inside of Biscayne Bay, really, really good. And I learned the hard way last year. You know, once the crab started to slow down, I was like, oh, maybe the crab will come back. And I left it and I kept waiting and waiting, and I waited like 3 or 4 weeks, and all it did was get worse. So once it starts declining, you know, it's not gonna come back. So we gotta take those traps and we gotta move them. And then now, you know, as the season keeps going, it's just a constant moving traps. You know, probably, you know, every time that we come out, the ones that are not performing, we gotta move them to new spots. So that's the plan for today. The wind has been, I mean, unbelievably rough. This thing is not letting up. I mean, we're looking at, you know, 20 to 30 knots of wind. I mean, seas, you know, up to 7-8 foot seas. So yesterday was unbelievable. In the beginning of my day, I was completely loaded down with traps, which makes it very dangerous because you're very top heavy, so you can flip and roll and capsize very easily. And it was really, really rough. I was by myself, had to use the autopilot, put the boat into the waves, both motors in gear and autopilot to hold me steady there while I was getting traps, bringing them to the back, and getting bait in them and get them ready to drop, then go to where I needed to drop, and then go back to bringing more. Today's gonna be a lot easier because I'll be at the helm and my son will be able to drop traps all around the boat wherever they're at. So we should go a lot quicker. We're really looking at, man, I'd love to be back. It's 6:30 right now. Love to be back here, I don't know, sometime between noon and 2 o'clock. See how fast we can get this going. I mean, I'm beat from yesterday's work. By the time I got back, cleaned the boat, cooked the crab, I mean, you're going to bed, and you have, every time you're doing this, you know, 15, 16, 18, 19-hour days, it's a killer. It is a killer, but we're gonna go ahead, get out of the channel. Today we got a short run. We should be at the first trap in like 30 minutes. And we're gonna start off, it's gonna be really dark, so you won't be able to see. We got a line of 6 that we're gonna pick up, and then we'll start recording and bring you guys along when we have a little bit more sunlight. Let's go, baby.
All stations, all stations, all stations. This is the United States Coast Guard Sector QS Florida, United States Coast Guard Sector QS Florida, United States Coast Guard Sector QS Florida, time 21:37, coordinated universal time 17:37 local time. The Coast Guard has received a report of a small craft advisory in effect in the Straits of Florida, Hawk Channel, local waters, including the Dry Tortugas and Florida Bay. A small craft advisory means that wind speeds of 20 to 33 knots or seas of 7 feet or greater are expected to produce hazardous conditions for small craft. These hazardous conditions may result in poor vessel handling and steering response, broaching, overturned dinghies and kayaks, slips and falls on slippery decks, rough damage along docks and seawalls, swamped bows at reef tracks, mooring balls, and dragging anchors. Inexperienced boaters, especially those of smaller vessels, should avoid operating in these conditions. All mariners are requested to transit the area with caution. This is the United States Coast Guard Sector QS Florida, out.
All right, guys, so we started pulling these traps, unloading the boat, and that Cuban coffee we had this morning had us rocking, and we have music blasting. We can't play music when we're recording the video because we get a copyright strike, but so we actually pulled half of them already and got them on the boat. For a time check, it's 8:12. So we have now been pulling for 1 hour and 2 minutes. And man, my body is, now that I'm going, it's, you know, it got warm, I got hot, and I'm doing pretty good, but my hand is, man, my hands are cut up. And there's still one more thing that I had to do to that winch. And I forgot the edge of the blade of the of the plate where you put the rope through is extremely sharp, and I cut my finger on it. And I guess with, you know, pulling the traps and all the, you know, crap that's on the ropes and the traps and all that, it's not looking too good this morning. My finger is extremely swollen and it looks like it's getting infected. So that's going to be fun next week to deal with that thing. But here where we got these short ropes, it's not working well, and I really cut the heck out of my finger on the first trap with the edge of the trap puller. So I got to get that thing sanded down. We have been doing pretty good. These guys are too small. We have been doing pretty good. We've got a little bit more than a half a bucket here. So if we could keep going at the same rhythm, we should be able to fill up the bucket in here, which is awesome. We really, 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 really need it. We have a lot of expenses with buying new traps. You know, the tags. I owe that money to my parents. But to actually buy the traps, buy the rope, it's all on my credit card. So we gotta send some major payments, and I gotta buy another 40 to get ready and go ahead and drop those. So we definitely need the crab. And this looks good. I mean, at the rate we started better than what I did last week. And I thought it was gonna be worse. Once it starts declining in here, it's downhill very, very, very quickly. Now, it doesn't mean that on the ocean we're gonna catch every time. I mean, we're expecting a major, major crash in our catch ratio, but what happens is that when it does come back, we'll be ready on the ocean. And what we see is that a couple times a year we get a massive surge of crab like we do at the beginning. And when that happens on the ocean side, we will be set and waiting for them. Here we got one. And this guy here has got, see, these little claws are the ones that I don't like. Here, hold that. Hold it quick. Those little claws are the ones that could get you because you can't really hold it back. You try to hold it back with your thumb like this, and they can move that thing out so quickly. Those are the ones that get you. Now that guy is not big enough to break your finger off, but he's definitely gonna draw some blood. My fingers are already falling apart. So we're moving along very, very quickly, especially for the amount of crab that we're catching. You gotta open it, you gotta measure. And here, different from the ocean, we're gonna catch more crab in here, but they're gonna be smaller. The ocean, you're gonna catch less, but they're bigger. So there's really no measuring. You know, all day yesterday, I barely measured any crab. You don't catch with the frequency. Every trap here's got crab. And now since we're moving all these traps, we gotta open them, we gotta take all the marine life out of it because we're stacking it on the boat. So, you know, an hour to do half of them is really good. We'll go a little bit slower now because I'm trying to explain to you guys everything that's going on so you get an idea of it. But I'll pull this line here and then I'll pause the camera and so much easier with the longer rope. Thought I heard one in there. Nope. Wishful thinking. So what, if you see here, what my son is doing is that we zip tie these ropes to shorten them here in the shallow water, because we'll have so much rope floating on top of the water that boats could cut it off. So we're cutting the zip ties, getting them all in our garbage bucket, not in the ocean. And now the ropes will all be the longer size for the ocean. Man, this line here last year was phenomenal. Got 10 traps in this line, and this thing was 30, 40, 50, 60 claws every time we pulled it. And this year, they haven't come through here. It's crazy. But wind today, a little bit better than yesterday. Yesterday was just unsafe in the morning. But today, once we get out there, it's just straight dropping traps. Until we're done. Man, these ropes do not work for the trap puller. I remember we were doing this by hand. So these little shorter ropes, when you're pulling by hand, there's no problem. But right now, just not working. Maybe, yes. See how this claw stays on top of the gauge, so that's a good claw. Medium-sized claw. If it were too small, it would be below the gauge. One claw, get him out of there. I gotta get used to this head camera. I'm banging against everything. But I'm doing it to try to bring a different look, you know, so you can kind of see what it's like when we're pulling these traps. It's like you're here doing it yourself. We had one today. Oh, Nelly. Oh, there it is. We had one today that was run over, and thankfully the buoys have like a plastic insert that goes all the way through the buoy, because they're just a styrofoam ball and then they're pressed on in a mold. And that thing was floating and we were able to recover our trap. We might have to try the next line going from north to south. The tide is changing. Some babies in here. I don't think they're gonna make it. These little guys are the hard ones. This guy might have one. Is he any good or no? Oh yeah. His right-handed. Yeah, barely. I'll show you guys here. See, when you put it on, he stays on top of the gauge there, right here. So that's a good claw. Yeah, a lot slower on these traps here than when we started. I mean, we started. My son was like, should we take him out of here? Is this a sign not to take him out? But I'm just thankful that we've got half a bucket here on the last pull in here, and we're moving them because I have had, last year I left them too long. I kept saying, oh, they're gonna come back. You know, we'll get it again. And pulling 50, 60 traps in here and getting a handful of claws only. And then I was like, oh, maybe it was a bad week, I'll leave it again. And I was pulling traps out of here, you know, December, January, way too late, I missed out. You know, you only have a certain number of traps, so they can't be underproducing or you're not making money. So we are constantly moving traps if they're not performing. The other thing I need to do, these gaff hooks, great gaff hooks for fishing. Ah, damn it. It's cut me again. But not good, because they're slipping in my hand for the traps. Oh, my hand is so cut up. I can't believe I forgot to do that. And I talked about it with my dad. He helped me do all the work that I needed to do up here, all the adjustments, but we literally were working. We got done and it was like, okay, hook up the, oh. I threw the claw, not the crab. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm talking to you and I'm making mistakes. Okay, 2. So what happens is that because the plate is so sharp, you know, you turn it on and I have to pull the rope through it, so my hand rubs up against the edge of it and it's spinning, and it's just like cutting your finger with a knife. So trust me, I'm not gonna forget this week. If I do anything, it's gonna be to grind the heck out of that thing. Man, first time I threw a claw instead of the crab back. My dad did that one time. We were like, what are you doing? Now with the longer ropes, it worked perfect yesterday with the changes that we did to it. Oh, Nelly. Buddy, this is very rare for this shallow water. This is a colossal claw right here in my right hand. That is what we need, guys. Maybe a jumbo. It'd be close. Right on the edge. Those are the ones everybody wants. And so guys, I know I said it in a couple of the videos, but if you're in Florida, you can actually do this recreationally. Everybody with a valid fishing license is allowed to have 5 traps. And obviously there's, you know, strict quota. You can only get 1 gallon of claws per person. But you could come out here with your family, get your 5 traps, have fun pulling them, and you get to enjoy some delicious stone crab. Yeah, this tide has changed from how we started. We're gonna have to get the next line going from north to south, bud. So what happens is that when the current is the same direction as you're pulling, you are getting pushed by the current. So it pushes the boat and makes it harder when you're trying to pull the rope through the winch. When you're going against the current, you have more slack rope, you know, before the current tightens you. Oh no, this guy looks too small. Oh no. Got a little medium claw. See how you fold it, you clip it right here, and you measure it, and it stays on top. All right, we will take it. Get 2 more there on that green rug, and then we're gonna start loading in the back. Got the bow already full of traps. And what I'll do is, when we're done in here, I'll show you what we caught. And then I'll pan the boat so you guys get an idea of what it looks like, you know, when we're full of traps. Right now it's super hard to steer. We got all the weight is in the front. Well, obviously started with the bow of the boat because we need the space in the back to work. Now as we get close to the end, we're gonna be really, really tight back there. You know, there won't be any space to kind of walk around the console. Nothing. We got, going to number 5. We got 3 more left in this line. And we'll crank up the music and bring you back once we are done in here. And I'm beat. I'm exhausted. Long, long, long day yesterday. And it's been, you know, a good 2-week run of just work day and night, working on the trap puller, getting it installed. Just a bunch of stuff that we're doing here in the midst of also setting traps and pulling the traps. It's just been a tough couple weeks. The weather has not let up, so we're getting beat up. Almost said a bad word. My nieces and nephews watch the show, so broken. I need the drill. So here we have the chew out wood ripped out of this trap. You don't have a glove on, put it in reverse. Okay, now flip it forward. Go, go, go. Okay. So this is the wood, guys, if you haven't seen any other videos. This is untreated pine, and it's a regulation, so if the trap gets cut off or lost and it's at the bottom of the ocean and there's any crab in it, they could chew through that thing. It rots out, won't even make it through the season, and they'll be able to escape. And what's crazy is that on the first pull, so what I did the first year is, you know, in the off season, I was like, oh, these woods are pretty good. If you do this recreationally, I would change the wood every year. And heartbreak, man, we started pulling traps and I had a bunch of them. So this past year, I said, I'm gonna replace them all. And it was crazy that even with the brand new wood on the first pull, I probably had 8 or 10 of them that the wood was broken off, which means that it had to be a huge crab in there to break that off and escape on a brand new piece of wood. Heartbreak. You know, those are huge, huge crabs. They can actually break through the plastic on the trap and get out also. I have a bunch of traps where they chewed through it and broke it. So it's not like it's a permanent home. These big ones can get out of it. And they are extremely, extremely smart. Trying to keep my finger away from that edge. I'm bleeding everywhere from my fingers. I don't need any more cuts. Look at this. This guy's got 2. Yep, that's good. And see this right here, how it's broken. What happens here is that they bit down on something so hard that he broke his own claw off. It's nuts, but they have the power to do that. That guy's very good. They have the power to do that, and they could break their own claws off. They squeeze so hard. Here, start right here. Put these 2 buckets in front of that other trap in front of the winch. And let's go right here, 2 traps. We're gonna start that row going forward. We could fit 10 in there. We're gonna be very, very, very tight. There won't be much room to walk around. Like my daughter says, walk around. Now that she can walk, she can run now. She's 20 months. You know, she's in the stroller. She's always like, walk around, walk around. She wants to go. She actually says, go, 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 when she starts going fast. She cheers herself on. And I feel like the wind is picking up. A lot more spray on the cameras. Oh, this guy here is hit with a prop. Oh my God, guys, I am so tired. It looks like rain is coming. Weatherman said no rain today. Little baby in there, buddy. Get him out. Yeah, so look, let me show him here. So what happened is this thing got hit by a prop and whoosh, sliced that piece off. And here's that plastic. There's a plastic that goes all the way through. And that's what was floating, and we were able to keep it. Huh?
Think any of these are good?
No, way too small. So, all right, that's the last one in this line. So guys, we're gonna go ahead and pause the videos here. We need some more, man, it is pouring offshore. I don't know if the head camera can see that. Maybe I bend over. It is nasty, the rain that's falling. Man, it's supposed to be a sunny day. The icon on the weather app was a sun. It was raining at 4 o'clock this morning where we were putting the stuff on the boat. I'm telling you, my next life, I'm gonna be a weatherman. I'm gonna be a weatherman. All right, guys. We're gonna pull the rest. We're gonna bring you back, show you what we caught, and show you the boat full of traps, and then we'll go offshore and start dropping these. Let's go. All right, guys, we are now done inside of the bay. Time check, it is 9:20, so 2 hours and 10 minutes. We pulled all the traps in there. We got the boat loaded down. I'll show you here. We almost filled up the bucket. The goal is to get, you know, as close to the top as possible. This is more than we caught last time, so we're super stoked about that. And then we've got this boat is loaded down, you can see here, and I'll show you now across the front. And now we're headed out of Caesars Creek, and we're headed out to the ocean side where we're going to start dropping these. And you take a look here, and this thing is loaded. Now if you're wondering why we only put them too high like this, it's because we keep them below the rail of the boat, the gunnel, right? And when it's rough like this, if you have them above and you know the boat is rolling, they could fall off. This way none of the traps could fall off. When we are just dropping traps, we got all these here too, and you can see they're also below. We don't want to put it high and then they fall off and we lose a trap. And these things are expensive, so you got to take care of them. So now we're going to go out to the ocean side. Oh man, it feels so good to be able to get. Today is going to be like a half day, and not like my normal half days that are 12 hours instead of 24. Man, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward. We got some steaks, we got chicken wings and ribs that I'm going to throw on the grill when I get home. And I can't wait. I am beat. All right, let's get out of this channel, get out to the ocean side. I have my son put on the head camera so you get a little view of that. When we set the traps, we set them all at night, so you couldn't really see how it works. But this is essentially kind of what we did in that first video. We're moving them out and we're setting them. So let's get out of this channel and get these things set so I can get behind the grill. All right, guys, we are now on the ocean side. You can see the difference here. Got a lot of waves, and we're gonna start dropping the traps in the bow because the bow is so heavy. It's the biggest space that we got to put the traps. It's so heavy that the waves are rolling over the front of the bow. So we want to get those out. And because we've got this northeast wind, we're gonna be sideways in it. Don't throw the rope yet. I'll tell you when to throw it. I gotta get straight. When we're turning right, it's not a problem. But when we're turning left, all right, you can throw it now. The rope will go under the boat. And we don't want to get it in the props. Scary rolls. Well, once we get the 20 off, it'll be a lot better. It's very hard to control right now. Drop it. It is windy. So we've got the head camera on him to kind of give you an idea of what this is like when we're dropping them. Drop it. I'm basically going all the way down the line. And I've got these spots already marked, so I tell them when to drop it. Here we got some intel from another captain, Captain Abel, super good guy. Fishermen don't do this, man. He's got lobster traps here, and he told me wherever you see one of mine, drop one right next to it. Drop it. And that's really, really nice. Nobody does that. Nobody will. Fishermen try to hoard all that information for themselves. And he's very nice helping us out, telling us where he's catching some crabs. So hopefully these pay out for us and we could get some too. But super nice of him to do that for us. Drop it. So when you have somebody else helping you yesterday, I mean, I was doing this by myself. And it is not easy by yourself. I can't go this fast at all. I mean, we'll be done with this in no time. We got 43 on the boat today to drop. Drop it. And this will be very quick for us to do. With two people, the boat, you know, never stops moving. And if we had a third person, we could go even faster because they're alternating dropping. Drop it. So this is what we did at the beginning of the season. But we started, you know, you could start at midnight dropping traps. So we had, if you haven't seen that video, it's the first video in the playlist. We had some really, really bad weather. That's when that Hurricane Milton was coming across into the West Coast. And we dropped the traps in some gnarly weather. Drop it. And we started at night because we wanted to get ahead of the storms, and we got pounded with one. Drop that rope. We got pounded with one on our way out. Drop it. And thankfully we had to muster through that one, dropping traps. And then we were able to make it all the way back and take the boat out of the water before they just started rolling in severe lightning and thunder. And we were cleaning the boat when that was happening. Thank God that we got through all that. Drop it. And this that we're doing, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be, you know, this is something that we're going to have to do a lot throughout the season, start moving them. If you're doing this, you don't want to leave the traps in a spot where they're not performing. It's just not, it's not a smart business decision. If they're not catching, you got to keep moving and find that crab. Drop it. This will be huge getting these off the boat. We'll be able to navigate a lot better. Drop it. We are right next to Captain Abel. I don't know if you can see the two buoys there. He's gonna tell me, I told you to drop it next to my traps, but literally not on top of it. I drove through here yesterday and I didn't want to get close to his, but it was so rough that I couldn't see all his buoys with the waves, the wave heights that we had. Drop it. He's a really good guy. He really has been helping us out. Oof. Oh, that head camera's gotta be full of water. We're getting a lot of waves and spray here. Drop it. Man, it has been a tough 2 days out here in this weather. This is really difficult to work like this. Thank God we were able to do it safely. Drop it. You know, safety becomes the big concern when it's rough like this. But my son is excellent. I love it when he comes to help me because he's so good. Drop it. He is a tremendous help. I know it's not cool for high school kids, but I'm sure he'll look back at this one day and be like, man, those were great times. Drop it. We are moving along well. We got 3 more and we'll be done with this line. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put this camera gear away because we gotta head into the waves and we're gonna, you know, get soaked. And then I'll bring you back at the end. Drop it. Give you a time check and talk about the next video here. There is nobody out here today. It's just unbearable weather. Drop it. He is getting soaked. On the boat, it's getting a lot lighter. I can feel it already in the steering, which is good. Drop it. All right, here's the last one coming up, number 20. I do not want this microphone to get messed up. Drop it. That was the last one. All right, guys. Holy moly. Wow. All right, we're gonna keep dropping. I'm gonna put this microphone away because I do not want this one to get ruined. I am Rode's #1 customer buying a microphone and transmitters and receivers, and we gotta head into this, so we're gonna keep getting pounded with waves. But we're gonna go ahead and set them on, and then we'll come back at the end. Guys, we're home. I normally do this closing out at the end and show you what we caught and all that, but my God, it is so rough out there. We were just getting pounded with the waves and so much salt water on the cameras and the microphone and all that. So we just said we're gonna go home and we'll do it here, but we're at the house now. From a time check perspective, it's noon. The plan worked out today. We got done early. We put in a lot of long days to get to this point. So I'm excited. We get to fire up the grill, throw the steaks, the ribs, chicken wings, and I got to cook this crab and get it iced down and get it to the market. But here is what we got today. We got about 25 pounds in there, 3/4 of a bucket. So really not a stellar record-breaking day, but really, really good for traps that we knew that they weren't performing and we're gonna move them out. So I wanna thank you for watching, and if you missed last week's video, I'm gonna link it at the end of this one, and I'll catch you on the next one.